Morning, fellas. Morning, fellas. Good morning, good morning. Y'all can hear me right? Just gotta be sure. Cool. Alrighty. We're just chilling till news. Figured I'd get it set up a little earlier to see what can play out here. No, this is the 8:30. Oh, yeah, this dotted line here is at midnight, if that's what you're referencing. High impact news at 9:45, so we're just chilling until then. We could watch this little fair value gap in here. We'll real quick kind of run through. All right, coming off of yesterday, we spoke about this inefficiency here being retraded into right that sell side on the 1 minute. I'm gonna go to the 1 minute and show you guys. Wanted to see us run out this low before continuing to press higher instead. Right, we just continue to work higher and higher. So this morning in London, kind of consolidating, but now in New York, after this slight consolidation, we're starting to rally again. Once again though, creating equal lows, right? So we don't want to get trapped into thinking equal lows always have to be targeted. But at this point, we've created lots and lots of sell side liquidity right here. We have a low here, lows here again, low here. So I actually wouldn't mind running out some sell side liquidity, especially after clearing London's high. We got London's high here. Right, we ran through that once, twice. Ideally, we close below this fair value gap, create an inversion setup that can then hold us to maybe take out the sell side here, and then from there we'll see what we want to do. But for now, just waiting for that high impact news to come. We've already closed under that, so right away I'd be watching this, to be honest, just to see if we're going to invert it, and then want to use that news as kind of what the heck, a catalyst to send us slower. Sorry, getting this set up here. 10 seconds and we shall see. So there's the news there. We did leave a fair value gap as well. So now we have an inversion and bearish fair value gap. 9:45 just came in. Got the phone going off. So we'll see if we want to continue with this bullish order flow or not. And then we can reassess what to look for here going forward. reclaimed bullish fair value gap here that we're trading within. That's what I'm looking at. Marking it just so you guys can see. This fair value gap here is we first clear the high, we close above it. Usually an indication of bullish structure. Obviously we trade right underneath that, but then we negate the inversion and reclaim it as a bullish fair value gap. So at this point, still wanting to see what we can do within this little fair value gap here. Quick on the two. So 2-minute volume imbalance is interesting. Right, that's aligned with the old high here and that reclaimed fair value gap. Still early off the opening, really want to see before we do anything. You can work on these lower time frames and look for some type of confirmation. Right, 15-second. Closing below the volume imbalance to me, indication we want to continue to press lower. And then target that sell side ideally is what we'd be looking for here. We do close underneath that. We hold that 830, revisiting the 830 level. Right, revisiting inversion level here. First time coming into that inversion, bearish inversion. We close above it here. This candle actually never trades into it. First time coming into it. I'd like to see us actually give way there, get underneath that, target all these equal lows. I got short on the volume imbalance. Exit will be that sell side right there. I waited for the confirmation. We close underneath the volume imbalance. I use that as an inversion volume imbalance. Stop below this high. At this point, stop already moved. Just targeting those equal lows there. Original stop here, stop now here. Closing below the inversion I like, can reclaim that potentially. I'd like to see that 830 offer us resistance at this point. Just send us right into those lows, kind of crashing into those. At that point, I'll be out. Quick and easy. So we're out there. Boom. Cool. Easy work already. Quick shorts. All right, we'll kind of show you the executions here so you guys can see. As you said, expecting this sell side to get ran for sure this morning already. So once we create this inversion, that's what we're monitoring, right? We're monitoring this inversion that we created here. As we often say, we want to watch the last premium or discount and use that as kind of a switch in the order flow in the short term anyways. So once we close below that fair value gap, I'm already expecting price to continue lower. Now we want to see right at 945, does that bearish fair value gap that gets created and that's aligned with this inversion, does that want to hold us? So you can see consequent encroachment holds beautifully, which is also the high of the bearish fair value gap. We then slam right underneath that volume imbalance that we're looking at here, okay? As soon as I see that, especially after it holding 1, 2, 3 times, closing underneath it, clear indication that price is now confirmed to continue lower. So we get short right when that candle opens, right? It's a volume imbalance entry technically because we open with the volume imbalance. But as soon as we hit that, go short. And as you saw, just targeting that sell side could obviously hold to like midnight. I think midnight may be targeted now that we've cleared out this high. If we want to start running for lows, it makes sense. And as we spoke about earlier this morning, fair value gap aligned with midnight level oftentimes likes to get traded into. So for us, we're already out, right? Quick, precise, kind of how I like it. But now we'll continue to watch and see if any more setups can form along the way. So we'll just label that. And I mean, that's really the stuff that we like to see. Right, the quick, well, we were in that trade for 2 minutes. Quick in and out. Still think we're bearish. Closing below this sell side to me, more of an indication that we want to continue for the lows. Okay, we can look around at other markets right now, kind of moving in, yeah, they're moving pretty similar. So moving in tandem. The lows that we've cleared in ES and Q has ran those lows as well. Yeah, so far so good. Still think we have room to work to the downside. Let's look at these higher time frames quickly. All right, 2 minute fair value gap is aligned with the 1 minute fair value gap. I like that. Potential 5 minute being formed. We've actually, okay, so we had a 5 minute wick, another run higher. Yeah, I'd like to see that midnight level get tapped at least. Here's external range. Not sure if we're going to get there, but we'll label it in case we get animated this morning. Right, external range liquidity here from this high to this low. We clear the high, so just wanting to see if we want to come back down for the low. Let's go back to those lower time frames. Right, 830 level here is paired with this fair value gap, so we kind of like that area a lot. Once again, we'll see once we trade into it if we can hold that as resistance, confirm a potential entry to continue taking it short. Because yeah, I like that inefficiency. I like that we have lows sitting there as well, right? So we have equal lows here. Now we have a low here, and we have a low that's just inside that inefficiency. So a lot of sell side sitting here that we can engage as we return into the midnight level. High, low, higher, high, broken, right? We have the breaker here. So we may not need to get into the inefficiency. I like returning into that fair value gap to give us a deeper retracement. But if we want to hold the breaker itself, right, technically on the 2 minute, we can have this whole thing be the breaker. On the 1 minute, this little down close candle here is what I would look at. We'll move it, but just so you know what we're looking at here, right? This down close candle. If we hold there, we understand why. I favor a retracement into this inefficiency. Oh, yeah, it's still off. I had to just manually change the time, right? So I went into, what was it at? So the 8:30 time, right? I set it to 7:30. And then the midnight open time, what was that one at? Find it, 8:30, oh yeah. And then the midnight I set to 11 technically. So just put everything an hour ahead, which now just synced it to what it should be. So the indicator didn't fix it, but we kind of had a little workaround there. Yeah, just one back. All right, big brain activity right there. I was like, wait, I could just change it manually. I don't mind this consolidation, right? I kind of like creating consolidation. So obviously expansion here, consolidation. I'd like to see us run through these equal highs. That's where we would look for the entry up here and then run out this low. If we run out this low right now, we still understand why, as we said, right? We're holding within this breaker. So if we're extremely bearish, we actually leave this as a breakaway. We don't return into it. We instead use the breaker paired with old lows to continue to press lower. As I've said, I would favor us getting into there, but we don't need to, especially seeing how the mean threshold of this breaker is holding us. Look at the bodies. I'm interested to see what we react now, because this is the first time as we come into the mean threshold, close underneath it. That's usually an indication we want to start moving away from that breaker. So I'm interested to see if now price continues to play around it or if it moves away quickly. If we continue to play around it, we may have an opportunity to get up into here. But if we move away quickly, right, this sell side here will be targeted pretty soon. At this point, not in a rush to hop back in. Right, already made the quick bread. Now we wait for more confirmation. Still favor lows, of course. Dollar moving higher, so good. We want to see that, right? Dollar expanding. Should send ES lower and NQ respectively. Slight SMT at this point, right? NQ has cleared, so these equal lows that we see here in ES, and Q has ran those lows out. Real quickly, I'll show you that. Right, so relative to where we are, right? That 757 low, that's here, this low. And we've just wicked that in NQ. So if we're gonna go 6 sister, I actually like NQ to continue to melt, let ES catch up. Still playing around here. I really like to see if we can't hold that inefficiency up there. NQ gave a textbook YouTube model, short-term high being cleared here, breaking through a low, fair value gap aligned with 830. That holds beautifully. Right, basically same thing we had here without the break in structure. Because NQ has cleared this low and a potential SMT may form, once again, we'll wait for confirmation from here. Right, you can go short right away, that's valid, but there's always going to be a second opportunity in my opinion. So once we hold that, we'll see if we can't reject, confirm something on lower time frames potentially to start looking for lower prices. I almost want to see, what is this 830? We shouldn't need to get back above that volume imbalance. The target, midnight? 1 to 3. Yeah, I like that a lot. We'll look at that 2 minute real quick. See if that 2 minutes still, yeah. 5 minute itself. So 5 minute fair value gap, we need to be careful here. Right, this is the 1 minute. Let's label it now since we have 2 opposing. If we want an institutional order flow this 5 minute, just want to have that in case. Oh, never mind. All right, so right up into that, we'll move that because we've just hit that 1 minute, so I don't really care too much. Interesting thing, the 5 minute consequent encroachment is the 830 opening exactly. As we often say, that's not random. Look at the reaction there off the 830 level. So now I do want to jump down to these lower time frames real quick. See if we continue to press higher, or if we overtake, right, 15-second time frame, if we overtake this, create an inversion there, I think that may be able to be used to hold us into lows. Let's see. We'll just have that there for reference. Because obviously we can get higher into this fair value gap, but like we said, the 5 minutes already at its consequent encroachment. So we've hit the 5 minute consequent encroachment. Higher time frames often reign supreme. So if we start breaking from here, we can look for that. But as we said, need confirmation first. So we could easily kind of just slowly dredge up and through this fair value gap to start attacking highs, create more of a seek and destroy here this morning. Which would actually give us a good indication. If we were to close above this 1 minute, break through that high, this high would have my attention once again. Because if we actually look, NQ actually created another low. So let me take you back there. So we already had SMT at this low, right? But then the low that we create here, NQ ran that low out again. Whereas in ES, right, didn't do that. So now we're starting to put in somewhat bullish structure, which is why I wasn't comfortable going in on this right away. Because we can easily kind of invert this. So gotta be patient, right? In no rush to give it back. There's the 1 minute consequent encroachment. So now at this point, we need to see price hold. If we continue to close above the 1 minute consequent encroachment, more than likely, I think these two equal highs that are sitting here will be the next objective. Right, so we clear internal range. Don't need to get to external. Obviously, that's why I close here. That's just the ambitious target. Really move this one. So now I'm watching to see, does this consequent encroachment, we haven't closed above it, but closing above consequent encroachment is an early indication that we're going to hold this. So now I watch that level and see if we hold it, right? We do. We wick into it, hold it. And now if we close above this fair value gap, especially because, notice what we did, we opened with a bearish volume imbalance here. So if that gets negated while holding and respecting this discount, I definitely would actually expect this high and then this high next. Right, because I'm also watching at this original volume imbalance that we got short on. If we get above that, that may be an opportunity to basically use it just in the other direction. 1 to 2 like this. Yeah, we'll wait though. We gotta wait. We have to wait for a closure above, right? Don't want to go in too early. Need to make up its mind either way, because we got to the high of it, we never closed above it, and that bearish volume imbalance actually remains intact. Interesting. So at this point, if we close back below this fair value gap, I wouldn't mind going in, stop above the most recent swing point. But just a waiting game. Right, it needs us to get out of it either way. We can monitor consequent encroachment, see how price reacts, but really not confirmed to look for anything until we either close above or below. 30-second, we can move that because now we'll be using the 1 minute itself a little bit better. Volume imbalance, interesting. So we close above that, we use volume imbalance, stop below the most recent swing low to target highs. High 1, high 2. Yeah. Yeah. Still need to get above this. This is kind of the roadblock in my eyes. Right. We cut through candles here. This can be used more than once. But creating this new discount and now putting in this swing low, I like that. We've put in a swing low underneath the inefficiency. So if we close above it and invert it, we have a new structural point that could be used as our stop loss. 2 minute sense. 2 minutes already closed above. Okay, interesting. So yeah, I just want to see that volume imbalance give way. Closing on the high of it. Still think that holds us. We're gonna try this here. Just one. I want us to get above that volume imbalance though. Still gotta wait for that closure above. Right, not trusting. Even though that fair value gap there, the volume imbalance is holding a little bit more weight in my eyes. So if I miss this because we run right after that, that's fine. But I'm looking at this here. This is where the entry would be. Now that we've inverted this. But that volume imbalance there is just giving me hesitation. So I'm not, or I'm okay to not do anything because I don't like that volume imbalance being there. Making it a little bit high resistance. I do want to see though if we can hold this one. So if we hold this discount volume imbalance, we'll be holding the discounts, which is good. As you said, buy side here and here. Inefficiency here. Real focus, volume imbalance. Sell side cleared. Yeah, now we wait. So much fun. Still have that same idea of, right, closing below it, potential of going short. If we look at NQ kind of just BSing, so at this point, not much help. We've all kind of stalled out here this morning. Dollar still just pumping though, so if we're going to continue to do that, indices should give way lower. We've given up that volume imbalance. Kind of a lot going on. We're going to move it, but obviously, right, we're looking at that volume imbalance here. We got a 15. High, low, lower high, broken, potential breaker, or mitigation block. 15-second inefficiency holds us bearish with the volume balance. Volume imbalance held nicely. 2 minute, 5 minute. We will, okay, bullish 5 minute. So now we're getting a little tricky here because we've closed above the bearish 5 minute, in theory, creating an inversion that would lead us to believe price would want to pump higher. On the way up and through that, we actually create a 5 minute discount fair value gap, which we're trading within right now. So now we're really pressed between, right, this premium and this discount here, the 5 minute fair value gap. Seeing as how the 5 minutes closed above the 5 minute, that would lead me to believe that we want to continue higher. But if you notice, we talk about that one candle's opportunity, right? When we close above this here on this candle, very next candle snaps right back into that range with a bearish volume imbalance, holding the higher premium. So yeah, we're really starting to, we'll need to wait. We'll need to wait before we do anything, just for clear confirmation at this point. Power hour, just break even basically. I think we had 3 trades, 1 partial out, and then 2 break even. 1 break even, 1 small loss. We kind of got tapped out of that range, right? FOMC moved quite a bit, so power hour was a little more range bound. The stream is uploaded if you were wanting to watch it. Yeah, so at this point, I'm in no rush to do anything, okay? We've already secured profits this morning. Quick low resistance into sell side. So now we can watch, right? That's the beauty of it. Patience pays. We know what we're looking for. We need to close above volume imbalance, or we need to close below 1 minute fair value gap. And to be honest, now that that 5 minutes there, we need to close below that, if I'm being honest. I need to see us close below this. But right now, it looks more bullish, right? So if we can resume that bullishness, holding from the 5, retake the 1 minute, and get above the volume imbalance. Once we do that, I'll look to long. Okay. So we're gonna try to long that then. We do have this, so at this point, I'd like to see us hold this, trade back into that volume imbalance, and continue higher. All right, we've already used this inefficiency once, so if we get above it, that's a pretty good sign that we're going to use that as support. Want to see us get into this first. We'll go lower first, then take off for the highs. We can run this high and still return into this. If we get into external, then stop would have to be, or entry would need to be taken away. I think tomorrow will be good trading. Maybe, yeah. Who knows? Personally, for me, we usually avoid Fridays, but it's bound to have good action. Right? That's just more of a personal preference, nothing too specific. If we leave a fair value gap there, that'll be even better. Okay, so now 1 minute inversion taken, closed above volume imbalance, leaving behind fair value gap aligned with that. I like that. So now I'd like us to get into that area. Gonna move the 1 minute. 5 minute held us. Trade into that inefficiency. So returning into it, we'll see if we go straight through that, because I don't like that we actually still held this. Okay, we held this original fair value gap, consequent encroachment. We often say that balanced fair value gaps, their consequent encroachment will hold us. So even though we wick through it, the bodies tell the story, right? Bodies hold that area. So I'd really need to see bodies respecting the volume imbalance. Don't want to see bodies close below this volume imbalance that we're using here. We close on the low of it, that's already kind of sketchy. We got in on that volume imbalance, stop below 830. Like this. So if we get stopped, we get stopped, but we understand what we're looking for there. Closing above volume imbalance, closing above bearish inversion, creating a new discount. So if we get stopped here, just we're offsides. We're not really in a market that's tending to trend at the moment. More than likely, we start kind of consolidating within here. 5 minute itself, right? Because we've held that 5 minute now. We've closed above the 5 minute again. 5 minutes closed above the volume imbalance as well. So everything is really aligning for price to run higher, which is why I'm saying if we do get stopped, more than likely we're just offsides. And we're not going to be in a market that is wanting to trend for buy side. Don't want to see bodies closing underneath volume imbalance, as we've said. Right, we can play with the low of it. But yeah, I really wouldn't want to see bodies giving away. If we do start closing underneath, maybe I think I might just manually close there. That is something that I would not want to see. So quick to preserve capital if price is not moving, as I would expect. Usually, right, with my trading style, price will give us an indication if we're right or wrong within the first 5 minutes, which is why I like what we do. So if we're sitting in this a long time, kind of BSing, that to me is not a good sign. Getting above this high now would be beautiful. Okay, if we clear this equal high, close above it, I'm gonna move stop loss to this low that's right here. We need to get above this inefficiency once again. Look at consequent encroachment, right? Holding the body in its tracks. If we can close above that, that'll be a good sign for us to continue to expand. Perfect. Okay, so we do. I like that a lot. We should hold this now as an inversion. Clearing this buy side at least. We may not get into external range, which is going to be tricky because, I mean, that's only 2.5, right? We want 5 at least. So maybe we can aim at consequent encroachment of this wick for exit. We don't need to be so perfect. I've learned that over time. My exits are the one thing that always upset me, but at this point, it's all right. We don't want to see that, right? That right there is a no-no. Not too good. Revisiting the original volume imbalance. So it looks like we are going to be in some choppy, right, slow. This is going to be high resistance if we get up into this buy side. So at this point, just like we spoke about yesterday, we kind of got to commit to the idea and pay the stop loss to do its job. So stop still sitting right on this 830 level, because to me, if we get underneath the fair value gap, right, that's kind of a wash. Matter of fact, we could have went here, because if we close below with a body, I'll probably just close that manually. Manually. So there's the low of that. That would really be all I would allow. If this candle closes back inside the volume imbalance, stop gets put under this candle's low. Because at that point now we've hit the low of that fair value gap. If we close underneath it, I'll just close the position. No hesitation to close it there. Let's see. How does the body close? Waiting on the closure. 2, 1. We close on it again. Okay, so now, right, we're wicking lower. That's fine, as we said. Stop loss is moved for me now. Stop loss is right under this low. Because now, if we clear that low, I don't want to be in the position at all. So stop's there. Because of how we're moving, if we get above this and clear buy side, I'll probably go break even right away. Let me just show you guys this so it's easier for all of us, right? You can see what I'm talking about. Long here, as we said, volume imbalance. Stop below 830. Once we get put here, stop gets moved there. Want to see buy side cleared. Want to really exit here. Consequent encroachment of that wick. But buy side is the target. We've closed above this once. That's twice now. Keep smashing on the door of it. Equal highs sitting right underneath. Relative equal. Okay, right. Equal highs there. Equal highs here. We should run that out. If we don't, as we said, we're just in the market not willing to really expand or move. Clear up that because we were really using the volume imbalance. And we understand this is there, so just making it a little bit easier to see, right? Really what our targets are. Buy side, buy side. Consequent encroachment of the wick, exit. Because we are getting some ugly delivery. Dollar is going lower, which I mean should propel the indices. And Q struggling to go higher though. Yeah, already I don't like it. We've cut our risk in half, so at this point we'll just let it play out. But these are the type of trades I don't like being in. High resistance, even if it plays out. Look how long we're just sitting in here, kind of BSing. Right, that drains your mental capital for sure. All these equal highs here, and we're still not going to get up into them. Trusting the volume imbalance, right? Still not changing the idea. Low, high, lower, low, broken with displacement. There's a breaker here that I'm looking at. So I don't have it marked, but this is the breaker, bullish. And it's aligned with the volume imbalance. It's aligned with the bullish fair value gap. Right? A lot of discounts, which is why I'm fine just leaving this. If we get stopped, well be it. But ugly, ugly. Typical stop loss, 2.5 handles for me. Right, sometimes we'll go 3, 3.5 if we're trading in larger ranges. But ideally, it's about 2.5. Right, this one is 1.5 now. We're gonna get stopped though. Look at those equal highs. If we get stopped here, we may give it another opportunity. Right, small stop out. Bullish volume imbalance here. So we close on this low and we open with a volume imbalance. I'd want that to stay open. To be honest, closing underneath the volume imbalance, I close the position manually. And if we run, we run. Right? I'll just miss out on it. But I think that volume imbalance right there will be the telling detail. Right? If we start closing underneath it, we're going to want to aim for this low, in my opinion. As long as we hold it, we'll hold it. And if we get ran out on a quick stop, right, lower, that's fine. But if we close below it and it gives us the opportunity to exit before our stop gets hit, I'm going to do that. This is our protected low, intermediate low, right? Not only rebalances the fair value gap completely, swing low to the left, swing low to the right. This low should not be violated if we want to reach into buy side objectives. Right, especially coming from this low. Notice no inefficiencies from this low until here. Right, on higher time frame, 5 minute, but we got into that already. So that's why I'm trusting this, as this should be the area that holds us if we want to go. Third attempt, actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th attempt to get into this high. Jeez. That's hideous. I almost just want to close this and profit right now, to be honest. If we, okay, right there, so I'm going stop here. Under the most recent low that was formed. At this point, we're cutting risk aggressively because we can run this high with how price is moving. I wouldn't be surprised to see this high be cleared, price to actually rip right back, run out this low. So at that point, I don't want to be holding any extra risk. Not partial worthy, right? 2.5 handles is nothing. So we just have to commit and hold for the full target, full pool. Do I stream daily here? No. Stream daily, pretty much daily in my Discord, but here on YouTube, probably once a week. Ideally, we leave a fair value gap there. But yeah, less than a handle stop loss. So at this point, right, we're not going to mess with the stop until we get stopped out or TP'd. Basically break even. It's going to be a very minuscule stop. We could eat that easily. As we said, target is this buy side external range. In case we don't get there, we're just exiting at 5 handles, which is consequent encroachment of this wick, right? We leave that fair value gap open. That's good. In theory, potential stacking opportunity. But to get 5 handles, we'd actually need to run that buy side. So for me, I'm not going to do it. More just watching. Form bounce held us. Should accelerate us. Will we get out at 5 handles? Wait, no, that's 5 handles there. Closure above this, so we already have, but if we close above with this candle, creating basically back-to-back fair value gaps, at that point I'd be okay putting my stop to break even. So boom. So now, just what we want. Risk-free, we're allowed to just chill now, right? That's how we like it. No risk in the marketplace, free trade. We get to watch and see if our target gets hit. If not, no harm, no foul. You obviously know what we're aiming for there, so we'll just leave it like that. Buy side's my objective. For those that have been around, we obviously go stop underneath or exit just underneath that, because we've seen plenty of times where we hit that level exactly and don't get out. So for me, I'm fine giving up right half a handle to actually close the position. What holds you back from adding? What holds me back is that, right, my objective is this buy side here. So from this fair value gap into that fair value gap or into the buy side liquidity, that's only 3, we'll say 4 handles rounding up. To me, that's not really worth the expansion. Now, I could be completely wrong, right? And price could rip through this and continue to print. At that point, that's fine. Cool. There's the exit. We should run the buy side now. That's really what we're looking for. Matter of fact, that actually would favor us not, because then I love seeing that, right? Catch the swing high. We caught the swing low. We didn't get the lowest low, but swing low nonetheless. I like to catch swing highs. So let's see if we can get the swing high exit. With there, I'll probably be done for the day as well. He said, please go live. Maybe, homie. We'll see. Might have to keep it at 1 for now. Give the premium memberships their money's worth. You know what I mean? Thanks, man. That's a new compliment. I haven't heard that one before. I think it's just the mic. I think the mic makes it better. Yeah, swing high. Swing high exit. We could probably hold this though. But I don't want to run that high yet until we close this candle. But watch this discount. This probably becomes breakaway until we get into this buy side here. So wouldn't really expect to see this be traded into. Potential measuring gap here, actually. I'll take it from this low. Oh my goodness, look at that. Right, measuring gap. 1 standard deviation. Word price stop. Random, right? No, not at all. Perfect delivery. Algorithm. And we get the swing high. So, there, as you guys see, in real time, exactly what we explained. We're not going to press for this high because there's a good chance that price won't run that high. But that doesn't need to be ran for us to be profitable. Lo and behold, we almost high ticket, but you get the idea. Swing low to swing high. Kind of what we come to expect here. At this point, watch this inversion. Okay, so last discount, we clear that. We may use that to go short. I'm not going to actually enter, but I'm saying just watch that, right? At this point, probably no more entries for me today. 2 for 2. We're content with enough, right? That's plenty for us. Only thing to be careful is this. We haven't cleared the buy side yet. So all of this in here is still bullish, right? We're still putting in the buy model. This could just be a retracement into lower inefficiencies, right? Notice one candle's opportunity that we talk of. We close underneath the fair value gap. Why is this fair value gap important here? Because this is the fair value gap that closes above the buy side. Notice, consequent encroachment of the fair value gap is the buy side liquidity, not random. We close underneath it. Very next candle opens with the volume imbalance, where? Right back inside that fair value gap. We then press above it. So seeing how we've done above that, I actually would say we should not hold this. We should instead hold this to give us another run into this buy side here. If we do break down, that's fine, right? We're already out, we're already secured. So now we just get to watch for free. I still want this to be the breakaway, as we said, until this buy side is cleared. Once we clear the buy side, then we can revisit this. This volume imbalance here needs to remain open. So keep this open, holding this fair value gap, getting back above this, reclaiming it, which then we would use that as support paired with the volume imbalance that's right there to target the buy side. There's a possible SMT. Let me catch up to your questions here. Let me see NQ. Possible SMT. If ES runs the high, potentially yes. Right now, really nothing. Right there's SMT at the lows, which is why we wanted to go long. That works out. Right now, we're looking at this. Right, say you're a micro scalper, you could go long there. I'm not going to. But we'll look at NQ. Right, so if we run out this high, that's this high here. So potentially we can. I think it'd be more successor. If we do run this high, I think NQ tries to catch up and actually run that high as well. We had SMT at the lows here, which is why we went long, right? Worked out. But as of now, nothing really between the two. Discord stream. The Discord is paid $40 a month for the Discord. You don't need to be a part of it, but if you like, you want to be in more streams or just have access to me in general, right? Be able to talk about it, see the concept videos I post. It's there. No pressure. For me, right, with this whole kind of live trading thing, for those that are in my private group, they know a little bit more about how I make a true living, but this here is more just to show the power of, right, one contract. You don't need a bunch. Sometimes we'll do 2 or 3. But it's really to enforce the idea of you don't need home runs, right? If you're trying to do this for a living, 1 to 2 contracts consistently every day will pay everything you need, right? Pay the bills. It'll give you a life, give you freedom. So it's really for that. Because sure, we can be going in here, right? 4 or 5 contracts deep. It's still going to move the same. I'm more really worried on showing how price moves, how to take advantage of the price movement, how to be on sides. And once you learn how to do that, right, then you could have fun and do whatever you want as far as risk management in your own way, because everyone has a little different style. I'm 26, by the way. Been trading about a little over 5 years at this point. 2017, late 2017, I'd say. Found ICT late 2018. So, but that's another reason. I've just had a lot more time with these concepts than a lot of other people. So simply time. The time element plays a big factor. I've seen these play out over and over again, day after day, right? Week after week. So at this point, it's pretty much second nature, just like reading a book. How are you when you start ICT in the first? Oh, I was terrible, brother. Right, found him in 2018. It wasn't really until 2021 that I was, we'll say, reach profitability, right? Which means to me, I was just making more than I lost. And it wasn't anything crazy, maybe 1 or 2%. But it took me maybe 2.5 years. And then right between that 2.5 and 3.5 years, that's when I took the biggest leap. Because at some point, eventually you need to stop learning. It's not about the concept. It's about, right, applying them to the live market. Like if I'm being completely honest, I'm sure that a lot of you know just as much as I do about the concepts themselves, right? What a fair value gap is, what a breaker is, how it forms, what a volume imbalance is. So it's not that you guys don't know the concepts, it's that you don't know how to utilize them in the live market. And that's really where, right, just the experience will come from. So yeah, it took me at least 3 years before I could say I was profitable for sure, right? It was a grind. What is happening? I'm about to see, do we have news? News. That's just a large candle. I'm just curious if we have something going on. Huh. Oh well. I mean, look at that. I'm fine with that, honestly. Because how many people are in here pressing for this high? And what is this? This absolutely rips their face right off. Well, we're just watching happily because we're already profited. Submit to time. But yeah, right time. I often say the only thing that separates me from most people is time. And of course, studying the right way, but right, the time aspect plays a huge part of it. You can't teach experience, as much as that's a cliche to say. It's true. And I never understood it until I'm in the position I'm at now. We're back inside that original 5 minute. 830 still holds us. Potential of holding that. Let's see what other markets are doing. NQ, okay, SMT and NQ. NQ ran out the lows. Interesting. Yeah, we'll give it a break. I'm gonna go grab some water real quick. BRB, fellas. Hey, mate. We back. Yeah, like I said, at this point, we're just chilling. For me, more than likely, no more new entries or anything. Sure, there might be setups, but right, as we said, we're not trying to gamble. You get paid, you call it a day. You move on to the next. I'm interested to see if we invert. I mean, we have... excuse me. Obviously, inversion here paired with bearish fair value gap. So if we want to run lower, this is what holds us. So for me, if we were to clear that, that actually might be a nice little opportunity to get long. But then to target what is the question, right? Who knows? NQ melted. Let's see dollar. Dollar chilling. I wouldn't mind going lower actually. Let's go back to these higher time frames quick. Kind of clear some of the drawings. Seeking the short, high, low, higher, high, low, lower, low, higher, high, lower, low, lower, high. 830 holds. Inefficiency holds. Midnight never gets tapped. 2 minute. 1 minute. Okay. Yeah, I'd look for lows, personally. Here. And if we get real animated, I still like these lows here. So this may become a breakaway. Instead, we use the inversion itself, right? Close underneath. Respect consequent encroachment. Start to move away. Notice how once we hit that consequent encroachment here, we close underneath it here. That's when we say fair value gaps should not be retraded above at that point. Notice how that candle taps it perfect. Right, so that right there is kind of an indication that we are bearish. Bullish volume imbalance, however, so don't want to be too early. But now what we would kind of look for is to see if, right, if we close below this lowest wicks consequent encroachment here, that'd be a pretty good sign that we're going to run lower. Fall short of it, so I think we still will revisit that. We'll keep on watching. Failure swing. How often do you do live trades? I guess it depends on the day. We live stream almost every day though. Besides Friday. Friday is usually pretty consistently taken off just because. But for the most part, daily streams, and then, I mean, if a trade pops up, right, that we end up sharing, I'll share it with the group. Walk through it, kind of like we did here today, right? With explaining why it should hold, where we expect it to go, where the stop loss and things would be. But it's not like I'm trying to, right, trade every day. More than often, there will be an opportunity that we can capitalize on. But if there isn't, some days we end the stream a little early because there's no need to waste our time. Inverting again here. Still not returning into the actual fair value gap. So we may want to leave that as a breakaway. I like the mitigation block though here. Right? High, low, lower high broken. So mitigation block opposed to a breaker block that's sitting right near the bearish fair value gap. But at this moment, I'm really looking at this. Right? So if we were to overtake this lower, then I really don't think that. I think this does become a breakaway. We won't want to get back up there because once again, notice consequent encroachment. Right? Perfect delivery into that, not random. So closing underneath this to me means we invert it, and we actually don't want to get above this inversion here, and we want to target lows like this. Equal lows right here, perfectly aligned with 5-minute consequent encroachment. That's what I would see. That's only 3 handles though, so like if we want 5 handles, we need to go for this low. But yeah, we should have. These lows here have my interest, right? Sell side equal lows there. Sell side here. That's where the exit would be. On that low. Let me put it on the low. Man, what's that? Starting to get ugly though. been following and watching. Nice. Appreciate the support, my man. Met on Twitter. OG. Yeah, we should run. Right, that was like we said, that's the entry right there for the inversion. So now we run for sell side here. And if we really want to get lower, right, sell side here. Once we do that, we'll call it a day. Probably should have took that one, to be honest. But it's all right. We are content. Yeah. No need to worry about it. There will always be another trade. And we already are profited. So now we just want to continue to confirm that we are on side and our analysis is on point. Second entry potentially. If we tap that again, maybe another opportunity. Right, because as long as the lows are still intact, we can still play that out. We'll see though. Back into that inversion again. Thought I found you. What's your long? Welcome, Roy. TOT. What? Talk. Oh, okay. The ones I know. I was like, what is that? My fault. My fault. I know what you're talking about. The ones that know. Long-term prediction. Yeah, we can do that since we're kind of already done with trading. I've been saying, right, we're not trying to call tops. So obviously we're going higher and higher and higher. I mean, really ever since what, here? Once we saw this, volume bounce hold, continuing to press, we've just been looking for higher prices. Any retracement is returning into an inefficiency or to clear liquidity before we continue. That's all it is, right? Like here. Here, retracement into an inefficiency, pressing up higher. Here, retracing into an inefficiency, pressing up higher. Retracing into an inefficiency, pressing up higher. Now, all-time highs. This is where it gets a little tricky because we don't really have anything to aim for, right? So it can be like, let's see. With nothing to aim for, we need to rely on daily standard deviations and short-term structure like we did today, right? So like short-term liquidity points like we saw here, which is, I'm a 1-minute specialist, so that's fine. But as far as longer outlook, to give you a 6-month outlook would be pretty tough for me because we're at all-time highs. Currently, right, as I go into each day, I will look for that trend to continue. So I can give you that, I guess, would be helpful. Because I'm not trying to really go against the trend until we're proven that we no longer want to continue to pump. We do have a lot of sell side right here and here and here and here, here and here. This whole way up, we've created untapped sell side liquidity. But that does not mean that price has to run into that, especially on a daily chart. Right? That's where it kind of differs from like lower time frames. We can have all this sell side and never return for it for months or years even. So for me, I'm just going to continue to trust that we want to press higher, and buy side will continue to be the objective that I aim for. And that doesn't mean, like, as you see, right, we can obviously counter trend into obvious sell side liquidity, but a majority of the trades or the higher probability trades that I will look for will be to target buy side. So just like this here, we should have went long at this inversion, because the fact that we invert it, to me, very obviously means we want to run for that high. That would have been the entry there. Right, reclaiming that bullish fair value gap. Low, high, lower, low, broken, breaker, entry. How long have you been with TOTK? I don't really know, like less than a month, I think. I've known Zeusy for a few years, right, before he even started that. So me and Zeusy have been cool for a while, but just recently I got added to it. Right, obviously, if you're in there, you know he wanted me to be a guest speaker, so I held a little webinar one of the weekends, and since then I've just been chilling in there. So cool place. How often am I checking the 5-minute? I'd say fairly often. I have, right, so you guys are only seeing one screen, but I have 4, or I guess 3. One's just a super wide, right? So I count it as 2, but I have 4 different things I'm looking at. So I always have a 15-minute chart of NQ and ES pulled up, and then I flip between that and the 5-minute pretty often. And then obviously, right, this one here is the 1 minute. But yeah, I would say I look at it fairly consistently. You use fibs. Yeah, I use fibs, right? Fib projections. And what I also use is the indicators. So like, right, the standard deviation of the daily open based on historical data, how far price moves in each direction with its standard deviation. Right, that's something that I look at when we get into all-time high territories like this. So now on here, right, this 5-minute chart, let's wait for the indicator to pop up. Cool, right, so we have the daily open, and then we have half a standard deviation, 1 standard deviation. Lo and behold, perfect timing, look at where we're stopping here. Look where we hit, once, twice, 3, right, smacking right into the half standard deviation point. So that right there is a target. Above that, then we start aiming for, right, like 1 standard deviation, or potentially 1.5. But when we're in territory with no price action to the left, this is how I go about kind of looking for my exits. Another opportunity to enter inside the inversion there. As we said, we're content, no more entries for us, but we're following it. We leave that sell side behind, so we should run straight into this buy side. Do you use most of the PD arrays? I would say so. I mean, I have a deep understanding of all of them, but the ones I use the most would be fair value gaps, volume imbalances, and probably breakers. But I mean, primarily it's fair value gaps and volume imbalances, right? That's all I ever really use, all I ever look at. Of course, if we get confluence with other PD arrays, it's always nice. Right, like the breaker here was the confluence to enter, which is why we held. Trusted that plays out. The indicator I use is a private one from one of the members. It's called ICT all-in-one. But if you want to get the standard deviation points by themselves, right? I mean, you can technically buy this one. It is like open to the public, but it's just 15 bucks a month. But if you're just looking for standard deviations, a good one to use would be this right here. Hist, dist, devs. Right, it does the same thing. It just doesn't plot all the ICT stuff that I like to use. So like if I have that on here, right, and I'll hide this ICT one. It shows the same things. The open, the standard deviations, and then you could obviously mess with it how you'd like, but hist, dist, devs, right there. I use this one. And most of the time, I actually don't have the standard deviations on there. Let's get into this buy side. Once we clear this, we'll kind of call it a day. We're getting towards 11. That's the end of my time zone anyway, or time session. And like this, right, once again, we can spot this setup, but it's tough and I don't take it because my target's just too small for me, right? So we could obviously aim for like here and expect price to continue to run. But because my target is the buy side and it's only, right, 3 handles, this is where we just have to really watch this. More confirming that we're still on sides, confirming that our analysis is spot on. And I'm still fine with missing trades like this as long as we know what's coming. If we can forecast it, that's all I really care about. Left that sell side intact instead, held the 5-minute once again, right? Ugh. Not surprising. And if you actually notice, we're wicking into the lower, but what are we actually holding? Well, the original fair value gap where we got long. Boom. Look at that. Once again, high resistance. Equal highs here now. So we have buy side equal highs. Should run those. But like imagine if you're still going long or if you're holding in something like this, right? This is what drives you crazy. Drains that mental capital. Well, for us, this whole time, we just been big chilling. 2 for 2, big profits. Just watching. Once again, not clearing the high. We should though. Either this reclaimed or this inversion will be the discount that holds us. Ideally, it's the inversion, right? Not this reclaimed fair value gap here. The ICT all-in-one indicator is, he has a free version, but I think to get all the features, you have to pay for it. But there is a free version, I believe. I don't know if you'd be able to find it on TradingView, right? It's locked because it's a private one. Ethermat, he's the one that makes it. Would you consider 943 fair value gap? What's that at? 943. 943. Yes. It's balanced. I'd see that as a balanced fair value gap. Traded lower, traded above it, traded lower, traded above it. So obviously, right, you can drag that out, but because this fair value gap here, I see this fair value gap. But if you notice, this fair value gap bullish is this bearish fair value gap. It's the exact same one, which is why I'm looking at that and not this. Because this one is balanced, but now as we get above it, we've created a new one perfectly in its place. So there's no need to look at this one anymore because this one here is the most recent. I do look for SMT sometimes, right? That's not my end all be all. I don't really rely on it too much, just more of a confluence. Markets the past few months have tended to not really move in sync anyways, so I'm not trying to get thrown off by that. Right? More of a tool than anything. Sell side safe. I mean, we caught the low. Oh, we almost caught the low. If we would have waited, I was like, we caught the low and the high of that range perfectly. Much randomness. Yeah, so like we said, right, I expect this one to hold, not this one, because we've already gotten above it and it already did its job here with this candle smashing into it. So now I would expect this inversion to actually hold us, clear the buy side, call it a day. If we're in a trending market, balanced price ranges will hold. Right, but like we've already said this morning, in a market that's tending to consolidate and create high resistance conditions, you're going to pass through PD arrays more than once. Right, like if we just look at this delivery, in theory, we're just ranging. Right, if I was to zoom out like this, sure, we were able to capitalize because we know what we'll look for in shorter term moves. But really from this high to low, when this was put in at 930, we've just been ranging within that. So we're going back and forth, back and forth. Once we leave, then, right, if we want to hold that, that's when areas should not be traded into again. So it really depends on the market environment. Bet, brother. Sounds good. I will see you in the Discord. 3 volume bounces in a row, right? Look at that. That's terrible. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 straight. I mean, this is going to hold us, but even this, high resistance. Once we clear that, we're good. So we wait for a fair value gap to break the range. Yeah, ideally, right? I'd like to see that. Because right now, all we're doing, we're trading within the range, right? All of this trading here right here, here. This is within the range trading. And we could still utilize the discounts, right? The PD arrays. And if you do, right, really know what you're looking for, like this buy side obviously is our objective. So when we see that this fair value gap gets reclaimed, right, not only are we reclaiming a fair value gap, what else? As we said, there's that breaker there. Low, high, lower, low, broken. So breaker, reclaimed fair value gap. But even if we got long here, right, once again, in theory, I would have went like this. Let's say we were just aiming for something short term. Stop right underneath the inversion. We could have got long here. This and here still would drive me crazy. Right, almost like this was. We had to hold through this. We understood though that we were on side, so I'm fine holding that. But when we're like this and we're near the extremes of the range, that's when I don't like doing this. Those that have been around me and know that I'm not someone that likes to trade, right, highs and lows of ranges. I much more prefer to trade in the middle to target the highs and lows, because that's where the real moves take place. Right, like here. Middle of the range into, right, external. Middle of the range aiming into the external. Whereas once we get at, right, the extremes of these ranges, that's when price can be a little more tricky to forecast correctly. Unless we're like in a trending market, but we haven't really been trending. Like if I show you the daily, just now we finally broke out of it, but the past, I mean, 5-6 days, just up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Really since February 28th, so that's way more than, that's the past month. Sheesh. And still no buy side. Look at that. Got me weak. If we don't get there by 11:10, we'll wrap it up regardless. How do we know if that breaker plus can be high? How do you know? That's a good question. I would say, right, what liquidity have we cleared? So for this to be high probability, I would have preferred to see this low, right, the low of the breaker, run out equal lows while holding the discount. Also, I would have wanted to see, we did displace through that, so that can add to some of the high probability, right? We want to see breakers being formed with fair value gaps aligned with them. So this 1 minute fair value gap that's right here is perfectly aligned with, right, the high of this breaker. So that to me means that we can almost trust this would hold us if we trade back into it. And as I said, if we would have cleared these lows, I would have very much expect this area to hold us. We don't, so there's still a chance we want to return for these lows, but we did clear a short-term low here, and the 830 level is holding us. So there's a lot that kind of goes into it now that I speak about it. Right, I'm seeing that, okay, the 830 level is holding us. As long as we're above that, we're going to kind of tend to want to move away from it higher. I say the 5 minute fair value gap held us, so we didn't really need to clear out these lows because the 5 minute inefficiency is there. We still have the breaker, right? We have the reclaimed fair value gap and now the 1 minute. So actually, let's see what we get here. Because I would look at the fair value gap that's aligned with the breaker itself. I wouldn't trust to just go long. I would need to like see something on lower time frames. So like for me, right, on like a 30 or a 15 second, I would switch down to that. And we could honestly do it in theory. It's like for me, right, to trust going long now off of this fair value gap, we need to overtake this volume imbalance. And then at that point, I'd be okay trying to maybe do something like this. Because as long as we hold premiums, right, we can push right through this fair value gap right here. Especially because we've now repriced fully, so like go back to that 15.
Make sure your speaker is connected and try again.
We have not closed above it. This does not count as closing above it. because we open and we actually close on it, right? Same way we open here, we close inside of it. We actually need to close above it. Opening and closing above it are two different things. Still no closure above it. That low was SMT. What low? Boom. So right there, close above it. We'll monitor and see now. Right, if we were to go in like this, does that hold us? Matter of fact, we might just run. If we do, that's good too. Just want to see that buy side get targeted. So we cleared this high here, actually, which is not necessarily what we'd want to see. Right, holding, basically turtle souping this and holding this inefficiency. The fact that we couldn't close above it more than likely means that we're going to want to hold that. And that's why we see price rip right through that area. If we could have closed above this high, that would have been a good indication. Right, let's go back to that 1 minute. Same thing. So you see that this volume bounce right here, right, holds price right in its tracks. Oh, people pushing for buy side right now gotta be hurting. Damn. I feel bad for them. But you can see, right, still, once again, in a ranging environment. When we're inside of a ranging environment, external ranges tend to be protected. But seeing that, we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up. No more interest of us. Quick little recap, right, for those that weren't here in the opening. 9:30. Well, we were waiting till 9:45 to be honest, but what we were watching is we had engineered the sell side liquidity, right? Created all these equal lows. We then pumped up to run out highs here. We then look at the last discount that gets formed as we break through a high, and if we close underneath that, good indication that order flow is going to switch in the short term. So we see price, right, trade right to the low of it. We don't close underneath it, but we create a bearish fair value gap here. So at this point, we're making sure, waiting for confirmation that this premium will hold us. We get it when this candle respects consequent encroachment, slams lower, closes now underneath the bearish fair value gap, and this fair value gap creating the inversion. Right, not only that, but it closes below the volume imbalance. So once we see that, we have broken 3 discounts. We're completely trusting that that volume imbalance holds us as an inversion, and we get short right on it. Right, so as soon as this candle opens, I go short. Boom. Stop loss above the most recent swing point, which was here. An easy target of, right, that sell side liquidity. Quick 2 candles, run straight into that, nice and easy like we like. Now we start kind of playing around. We said that we would have to watch this as a potential inversion. Right, so we get into it once, we try to get above, slightly retrace to clear out a low. Then, right, that's the displacement we're looking for. Notice when we close above it here, there's no displacement. This is clear displacement through the fair value gap to create that inversion. leaving behind now a fair value gap. And, right, not only that, we're respecting the original volume imbalance here. So now we've created the inversion. We've created, oops, sorry, move that. We've created this inversion. We've created the actual bullish fair value gap here. And that is aligned with the original volume imbalance that we used to get short. So once we get above that, once we're very clear and confident to go ahead and use that as support. So as you saw, we get long as price trades into that, targeting the buy side. For us though, buy side does not need to be reached. Instead, we target mean threshold or consequent encroachment of this wick. That's where we exit. Right, so we exit right on that level. Beautiful exit. Never reaching into the buy side. So if we were trying to get that, we still would never have been able to TP. So instead, we TP here. And then since then, price just kind of like BSing back and forth, back and forth. Overall though, great day for us. 2 for 2. Quick and nimble. And that's what we like to see. As far as tomorrow, right? Tomorrow's Friday, so typical no stream for me. Next stream will be either Monday or Tuesday. Let me see when we have news again. Next YouTube stream probably won't be till like next Thursday though, something like that. Not really sure. The YouTube stream is a more play it by ear whenever I feel like doing it. But we have high impact news next week at, come on, what time? Where's the news? Next week. Oh, we do have, okay. We have high impact news Monday. So for those in the premium group, we'll actually get live or be live on Monday. High impact news Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So yeah, we'll be back on YouTube Thursday, but we'll be back for the actual Discord Monday morning. So until then, everybody, appreciate y'all hanging out. If it was your first time, thanks for joining. But yeah, take care until we talk again. Be safe. See you guys around.